Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. This is the public hearing and public meeting of the Committee of the Whole regarding bills numbers 260199, 260200, 260201, 260202, 260203, 260204, 260205, 260206, 260208, 260209, and resolution number 260227. Ms. Lawhead, will you please call the roll and take attendance?
Councilmember Squilla, Councilmember Gautier, Councilmember Jones, Councilmember Young, Councilmember Driscoll, Councilmember Lozada, Councilmember Bass, Councilmember Phillips, Councilmember O'Neill, Councilmember Gilmore Richardson, Councilmember Thomas, Councilmember Harity, Councilmember Ahmed, Councilmember Landau, Councilmember Brooks, Councilmember O'Rourke, Council President Johnson.
Present. Thank you. A quorum of the committee is present. This hearing is now called to order. Before I ask Ms. Lawhead to read the title of the bills and resolutions, I just want to thank all of my members for being here promptly as we start off this budget hearing. Ms. Lawhead, will you please read the title of the bills and resolutions?
Bill number 260199, an ordinance adopting the operating budget for fiscal year 2027. Bill number 260200, an ordinance to adopt a fiscal year 2027 capital budget. Bill number 260201, an ordinance to adopt a capital program for the 6 fiscal years 2027 through 2032 inclusive. Bill number 260202, an ordinance amending Chapter 19-2400 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Hotel Room Rental Tax by providing for an additional excise tax on hotel room rentals, all under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 260203, an ordinance amending Subcode A, the Philadelphia Administrative Code of Title IV of the Philadelphia Code, the Building Construction and Occupancy Code, by adding and revising zoning board of adjustment fees and provisions regarding hearing scheduling, all under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 260204, an ordinance amending Title III of the Philadelphia Code entitled Air Management Code to modify the amounts of license and permit fees under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 260205, an ordinance amending Section 19-1806 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Authorization of Realty Use and Occupancy Tax to clarify the imposition of the tax on the use of occupancy of real estate with respect to cell towers, all under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 260206, an ordinance amending Chapter 600 of the Philadelphia Code, asbestos, by adding and revising provisions related to various fees, all under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 260208, an ordinance amending Chapter 19-1800 of the Philadelphia Code entitled School Tax Authorization to add a new Section 19-1808 entitled Authorization of Rideshare Use Tax to authorize the Board of the School District of Philadelphia to levy a tax upon the use by a passenger of a transportation network company for a prearranged ride that originates in Philadelphia, all under certain terms and conditions. Bill number 260209, an ordinance amending Title 19 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Finance, Taxes, and Collections to add a new Chapter 19-4800 entitled Retail Delivery Tax to establish a tax on orders for the delivery in Philadelphia of retail consumer and other tangible goods, all under certain terms and conditions. Resolution number 260227, providing for the approval by the Council of the City of Philadelphia of a revised 5-year financial plan for the City of Philadelphia covering fiscal years 2027 through 2031 and incorporating revisions with respect to fiscal year 2026, which is to be submitted by the Mayor to the Pennsylvania Intergovernmental Cooperation Authority pursuant to an intergovernmental cooperation agreement by and between the city and the authority.
Today, we will hold the public hearing in the Committee of the Whole to consider the bills read by the clerk that constitute proposed operating capital spending measures for fiscal year 2027, a capital program and a forward-looking capital plan for fiscal year 2027 through fiscal year 2032. This morning, we have scheduled testimony from the Office of Clean and Green, including the Sanitation Department. Before we get started, just want to take a moment to acknowledge Mr. Omar Salam, who also represents the Office of the Mayor, Ms. Crystal Jacobs. Where's Ms. Crystal Jacobs at? Shipman. Want to thank her also, Commissioner of Sanitation, Mr. Carlton Williams, Head of Clean and Green. Where's Keith Warren at? Deputy Commissioner for Sanitation. I want to thank all of you for always picking up the phone when I'm calling, asking for some type of constituent service issue to address in the 2nd Councilmanic District. I want to also acknowledge Antoine Little from District Council 33. Also, thank you for being here. I just want to start off by just thanking all of you for your hard work and your dedication to improving the quality of life of the city of Philadelphia. Ms. Lawhead, can you please call the first panel to testify?
The first panel to testify from the administration is Carlton Williams, Director of the Office of Clean and Green, and Crystal Jacobs, Sanitation Commissioner.
And that's Crystal Jacobs Shipman.
Crystal Jacobs Shipman.
Glad to see the West Oak Lane Wildcats finally got their turf field. I think that's awesome.
Patience.
Awesome. How you doing, Carlton? It's always good to see you.
Good morning, Council President and the honorable members of City Council. My name is Carlton Williams, and I am the Director of Clean and Green Initiatives for the Mayor's Administration. And I am here today with Commissioner Crystal Jacobs Shipman from the Sanitation Department, Casey Kucklick, Director of Clean and Green, Mary Stitt, Deputy Director for Clean and Green Initiatives, Mr. Keith Warren, Deputy Commissioner for Sanitation, and Mr. Christopher Newman, Deputy Commissioner for the Administration. And I am pleased to provide testimony on the Office of Clean and Green and Sanitation's fiscal year 2027 operating budget. I'm extremely proud to report that the Office of Clean and Green continues to make great strides in accomplishing the Mayor's bold vision of a cleaner, greener, and safer city with economic opportunity for all. Our FY27 operating budget marks a pivot from building and implementing multiple new and expanding clean and green initiatives to sustained transformation of city conditions going forward. We have successfully established multiple programs and initiatives that are proactive, data-driven, and demonstrably impactful. The goal now is to move towards solidifying and making permanent all of our successes for the long term. Our One Philly United City citywide cleanup, for example, will continue to serve as a staple framework for a coordinated citywide approach to address quality of life issues in our communities. During fiscal year 2026 alone, over a dozen government and quasi-government agencies worked together to clean 20,000 streets and address more than 150,000 quality of life actions across the city. This comprehensive and coordinated approach is now standard operating procedure and will continue to touch each and every neighborhood annually throughout the city of Philadelphia. Twice weekly trash collections has also shown tremendous growth and success, expanding high-density neighborhoods, areas in both South and North Philadelphia, and yielding a 15% reduction in illegal dumping calls as a result. The success of this initiative has gone well beyond a pilot concept and is now a permanent shift towards a more flexible service delivery model where collection frequency is based on need and neighborhood conditions in those areas. The overall plethora and scale of these and our various programs and initiatives, including the district-based residential cleaning, the 10-point greening program, the anti-graffiti and highway beautification plans, Sanitation Department's program expansions, and increasing extensive partnerships all reflect forward-looking efforts for a multi-agency coordinated and combined approaches towards multiple quality of life issues that have become primary strategies focusing not only on litter reduction, but also greening, graffiti, and nuisance abatement, stabilizing vacant land, and improving environmental resilience. Importantly, all of these efforts have made a huge difference. Not only can residents and visitors visibly observe the difference across communities and neighborhoods, but objectively, our litter index scores have improved over 11% over the last 2 years, and our new, more comprehensive community appearance index has shown significant initial promising results with 11 zip codes showing improvement overall in community conditions. Equally important is our investment in people throughout the Philly Future Track Workforce Development Program. Over the last two successive years, the Philly Future Track program has successfully transitioned over 260 program participants to full-time, permanent civil service positions. And next year, we are projecting an additional 100. This has not only helped support the massive staffing expansion in the sanitation department with new work-ready hires to deliver many of our new programs and initiatives, but it has also endured many of the most at-risk city residents in disadvantaged areas that have career pathways to transition to a new and more promising life. In FY27, we are laying the foundation for the sustained cleaner and greener and safer Philadelphia with economic opportunity for all, not just for today, but for the future. This is a strategy built on a quality of life focus, shared multi-agency coordination and collaboration and adaptability, and it positions the city to deliver increasingly better outcomes year after year. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. We will be happy to answer any questions for this testimony hearing. Now I'd like to ask Sanitation Commissioner Crystal Jacob Shipman for an introductory testimony on behalf of the Sanitation Department.
Good morning, President Johnson and members of City Council. I am Crystal Jacob Shipman, Commissioner for the Department of Sanitation. And as mentioned, joining me today is Deputy Commissioner Keith Warren, Deputy Commissioner Christopher Newman, not mentioned earlier, but our Director of Environmental Planning, Scott McGrath, and as mentioned, Omar Salam, and as well joined by Farouk Scott. I'm here to provide testimony on the Sanitation Department's fiscal year 2027 operating budget. The FY27 total general fund budget request includes $190 million in funding for the Sanitation Department and $202.2 million all funds appropriation level. This proposed budget reflects Mayor Sherrell Parker's deep commitment towards making Philadelphia the safest, cleanest, greenest big city in America with access to economic opportunity for all, and secures the expansive clean and green investments made by the mayor and this council over the prior two fiscal years. Before discussing the framework of our FY27 operating budget, allow me to also recognize, and I know Council President mentioned, but DC 33 Vice President Antoine Little, and I would be remiss if I did not recognize and thank the hardworking men and women of the Sanitation Department. Their work is highly visible, challenging, physically demanding, and their commitment to making our streets clean, green, and safe is unwavering. Thank you. On behalf of the leadership of our entire department, I extend my sincerest gratitude for their professionalism, resilience, and pride in serving the residents of Philadelphia. This budget proposal solidifies the various new programs and expansion initiatives of the last several years while ensuring the continued transformation in how we deliver core sanitation services and improvement in accountability, efficiency, and neighborhood-level impact across Philadelphia. We have successfully established and implemented a wide variety of new initiatives over the last two fiscal years and expanded staffing to historically high levels. This has positioned the department to be much more efficient and responsive in delivering core services throughout the city. Our district-based residential cleaning program, for example, has provided a much more localized service model for all 10 council districts, better aligning uniquely needed services with neighborhood conditions. Since the program's inception, we have effectively cleaned over 90,000 total blocks, an impressive achievement further enhanced by the specific delivery of services needed within each district-level area. Similarly, a series of programs expansion efforts over the last couple years for twice per week trash collections and mechanical street cleaning has increased and consolidated specifically needed services in geographical areas with the most need in Kensington and parts of North and South Philadelphia, greatly reducing litter debris in those areas and enhancing overall neighborhood conditions. We are continuing to intensify our approach to illegal dumping cleanup, as well as surveillance and enforcement. This budget resources 6 illegal dumping cleanup crews, continuing to strengthen our ability to respond quickly and comprehensively to dumping incidents and focusing in particular on chronic hotspots. The increase in illegal dumping cleanup crew capacity funded over the years has resulted in a more than 280% increase in illegal dumping site cleanups since 2022, and over 2,300 additional sites cleaned during that time period. In addition, we will continue to fund expanded illegal dumping surveillance camera coverage and a significant expansion of sanitation enforcement staff. This will ensure we have the enforcement power and the citizen outreach capability necessary to make as big an impact as possible on citywide littering behaviors. Looking ahead, this budget resources the operating costs necessary to support the recent newly rehabilitated Northwest Transfer Station. This facility will greatly improve operational efficiency for the transport of trash by reducing travel times for collection crews and strengthening our capacity to manage waste more effectively across the city. We are also committed to continuing to improve Philadelphia's recycling rate. Through targeted education, better bin access, and marketing improvements, which are supported by this budget, we expect to continue the steady improvement in overall resident recycling participation, which has increased from a pandemic FY21 low of 8% to an expected 14% this fiscal year, and a goal of 15% for FY27. A key aspect of this anticipated continued improvement is the recent expansion to our Big Belly trash and recycling compaction units with an expected network of 1,500 this fiscal year, representing 600 newly installed and 520 replaced. We are very proud of the remarkable expansion and strides we've made thus far and are poised and excited to solidify these efforts moving forward into FY27. This proposed budget allows us to strengthen and continue the mayor's visionary clean and green strategies, thus institutionalizing comprehensive and long-term solutions to remove litter and blight across the city and drastically improve overall quality of life for our residents and communities. We're therefore requesting your favorable consideration of the budget. I thank you for the opportunity to testify before you today. Our deputies, staff, and I are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Going to call on my members. And again, Mr. Williams, thank you for, and Crystal, your work around the snowstorm, just being responsive, and as we dealt with 2 back-to-back storms, just leading those efforts and being on the front line. And so
You're welcome, sir.
just
Thank
want
you.
to acknowledge that. Do want to also acknowledge the role of our mayor when we talked about the issue of Philadelphia being known as Philadelphia, and her jumping in head first and doing a deeper dive and making sure that it's a priority to have clean streets here in the city of Philadelphia. So I had a brief, small question. Future Track program is very near and dear to me. What aspect of this budget invests in Future Track? Do we know how many additional positions we will be hiring for Future Track in the upcoming future? And then also give me an idea of the role of CLIP. We'll be doing the investment in the CLIP program, and also we'll be hiring more individuals to expand CLIP. I know we're doing a lot of work with TCB, taking care of business, which I think is a great program that deals primarily with the commercial corridors, but I have a specific interest in expanding the opportunities that are available for individuals to specifically do work around Future Track, because it gives individuals, regardless of their background, an opportunity to have a pathway into the administration through civil service, but through actual permanent jobs, which you mentioned inside your testimony, which I think is great. So I want to continue that progress and whatever I can do to be supportive of it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Council President. And let me acknowledge the fact that you and along with this council did champion a budget that allows us to hire every year 200 Future Track employees, trainees that eventually can be eligible for a long-term city employment for the city of Philadelphia. That is a huge program for us. It's a win-win-win situation for all of us. Number one, it's a win situation for obviously the candidates in the program. They have meaningful opportunities to join city government. For us, for government agencies like the Sanitation Department, but multiple agencies we've expanded to with multiple tracks. It gives them the opportunity to fill much-needed vacancies with trained employees in advance. So that is another benefit from the program. And of course, for the community in the city, they see the direct results of their hard work. They've worked not only during the snowstorms, but also during the work stoppage, and they were a valuable asset all year long with the citywide cleanup. These are the initiatives that we are launching, and based on the important roles that Future Track play, they play a huge role. I will get back to you in terms of CLIP's budget and their positions. We are not anticipating any cuts for CLIP in terms of their role and responsibility. They're playing a huge role in not only graffiti removal, but other quality of life initiatives as well, vacant lot restoration. They've been on the front lines of our highway beautification project. If you take a ride up 76 now, you'll notice that that graffiti is no longer on that major CSX wall. That is all CLIP and our mural arts program working together to remove those eyesores. But not only do they do that on major corridors, they're doing that in the neighborhoods every day with the number of quality of life initiatives, over 100,000 initiatives combined, and they're a big part of that as well. TCB is here. They've expanded. Miss Roxy Tanzania, and I'm sorry, Roxy, if I mispronounced your last name, but she is here. She can tell you about the expansion, but we've improved from 39 TCB programs to 51, and we've expanded to over 450 blocks. And also, not only do they clean the corridors, but they're also cleaning north, south, east, and west of each block related to a corridor as well. So they're doing outstanding work, and together we're accomplishing the mayor's vision of a safer, cleaner, greener Philadelphia and reducing the monarchy of Philadelphia.
Are we expanding Future Track?
Our
how
budget,
many positions in this budget is going to provide more opportunities for people to come into the Future Track program?
yeah, I think we're sustaining it at 200 right now, which is the budget, which is a pretty substantial number for workforce development. And we're able to, again, utilize and give them the skill sets for them to thrive in city government when positions are available.
And can we expand Future Track in the future, or that's not a part of the vision at this particular point in time right now?
Well, I mean, we can always expand it if funding becomes available. But right now, we are happy to hold pat at the 200 positions that we have. Yeah, okay. Because it's ultimately a great management function for Commissioner Shipman and team to be able to disperse those and manage them accordingly.
And then also, so are we expanding TCB? How does one apply when we get phone calls and say, I'm looking for employment, and I want to respond and say TCB may be an opportunity to have a pathway to work for the city of Philadelphia?
Yeah, so TCB did expand with their contractual partners from 39 agencies to 51. So they have now 51 locations in which they're
51 locations.
Yes.
How do people apply if they're interested? And is it based upon an individual's geographic location?
So
South Philly, North Philly, West Philly?
So they do hire from the neighborhoods, the community groups, and who they contract with. Those agencies are likely to come from the communities in which they serve, which is a good thing, because they take ownership. They're able to give back to the neighborhood residents who use that community the most, and that's a good thing. But it's not necessarily a law. Someone from another location of the city that's looking for the opportunity could be placed in that program.
So if a person wants to apply, they reach out to their actual partnering locations. Is that correct? Partnering organizations?
Yes. Well, the partner organizations actually do the hiring. We contract directly with those agencies. Yes.
Okay. I just want to get an idea. And CLIP isn't going to be expanding at the moment. So if a person wanted to apply to be hired by CLIP to do the CLIP type of work, at this present time, there won't be expanding slots for an individual to work for CLIP.
Right, we won't be expanding slots, but there's always turnover in multiple departments, and those positions will be filled. And so we do anticipate if those opportunities open up, we definitely want to fill them because of the important work that they do.
And I only ask you this line of questioning because I meet people on a daily basis looking for work. The civil service may not be the best route, and traditionally, just to be frank, transparent, you can call CLIP, any spots available, because you have a young person that's looking for work. You can call, even you, Future Track, you got any spots available, a person looking for work. And I just think that's a good way to provide people who may not have that opportunity to go through the civil service process, but just a straight hiring process to get them involved in the workforce here in the city of Philadelphia. And last, how does all this correlate around CCME, that program?
So CCME at community college, Future Track members actually learn a different skill set. So it's a way for us to enhance workforce development opportunities for technical work. Many of them go for, positions that may not be available to them if they hadn't taken those courses. And I'm thinking about certain maintenance positions that require technical skills. Also, there's a variety of other related programs not related to Clean and Green that CCME offers as well. So I think it's a great program that we need to continue to support because it gives them that added skill and knowledge base that they need to compete not only with city jobs but out in the professional world as well.
And Commissioner Shipman, I know you have 200 people is pretty sizable individuals, but I know you're more than capable of managing 1,000 if you had the budget to actually operate those 1,000 individuals. And so the 200 people, like when they're on the path for graduation, that will open up other opportunities for people to come in. Because I guess I'm getting the impression right now that there's like a freeze basically on Future Track. There's a freeze on CLIP, and I guess TCB is opening up some positions or expanding partnering organizations. Did I explain that correctly?
I wouldn't justify or classify it as a freeze, no.
Okay.
So what happens with Future Track is towards the end of the program, if it ends in June, graduation is in June, as many of those individuals who finish that program that we have slots for, whether it's in sanitation or water or streets, any of the other departments, we place as many of them as we can. They identify a track that they like, something that they've become familiar with, and as for as many spots that we have open that are available to them, that's how we place them. And then we restart the cycle again the following year.
So let's say if we place 20 people in permanent city positions, there's 20 slots that's available for new people to come and apply for. Is that correct?
So at the end of Future Track, typically they've graduated out of the program. Last year we were able to place 180. It was a significant,
I saw that, which is awesome.
Significant number. And so the hope would be we place as many as we can, and then we start over with a fresh 200.
That's what I was trying to understand. All right, cool.
Yeah, and Council President, just to add, they are eligible to stay on a civil service list. After they complete, even though the job may not be readily available immediately after training service, they are now certified to be on civil service list to be considered for interviews at Future. And we are trying to connect with other departments to open up more opportunities.
I think also your work should just be acknowledged as being a part of a larger strategy to reduce gun violence in the city of Philadelphia, reduce the shootings in the city of Philadelphia. We have a blueprint for a safer Philadelphia that also talked about the need of putting young people to work as a way to address violence in our city. And I believe, again, the more young people you hire, my nana taught me as a kid, an idle mind is a devil's workshop. And so when you got something to get involved in that's positive, you don't want to stand on the corner. You don't want to get involved in drug dealing because you have a pathway to create an opportunity to have sustainable wages to take care of your family. And so thank you very much. And I appreciate your testimony. The chair recognizes Councilman Jamie Gauthier, then Councilman Jim Hardy, then Majority Leader Kathleen Gilmore Richardson, and then Phillips.
Thank you, Council
Dr.
President.
Phillips.
And good morning, Director Williams and Commissioner Jacob Shipman.
Good morning.
And thank you for the work that you do on behalf of the city every day.
Thank you.
My questions are about the city's waste disposal contracts. We have less than 3 months until the city needs to have new solid waste and recycling disposal contracts in place. Delaware County commissioned a very detailed and comprehensive life cycle assessment study of incineration versus landfilling versus adoption of their zero waste plan. It showed that burning trash at the incinerator in Chester is 69% worse for the climate than landfilling, and that it is 23 times as harmful for all other public health and environmental measures combined. The study used EPA and other data to evaluate 9 criteria: climate impacts, smog and related asthma impacts, respiratory and cardiac effects from particulate matter, cancer and non-cancer impacts of toxic chemicals, acidification, ecosystems toxicity, ozone depletion, and eutrophication. At the March 24th budget hearing in this chamber, Director Williams, you stated regarding the Delaware County study that, quote, "I think we have to consider all of the environmental impacts, not just one section of it," end quote. And so my questions for you are, have you read the entire Delaware County study? And if so, why did you claim that the study looked at just one section of environmental impacts when it looked at 9 of them, from landfills, incinerations, and zero waste alternatives? And what other impacts are you implying were not examined? And what specific problems do you have with the study that was already completed?
Councilmember, thank you for your question. First of all, I want to again state for the record that I think what I was referring to is that we need to evaluate during our RFP process, that we need to be able to address it. Second.
Hold on one second. Now, I don't, excuse me. I don't, now either you get them or I'm gonna get them. So I know they're here to be supportive, but okay, y'all wanna keep coughing? Hold on one second. Council, be at ease. I don't mind y'all coming, and I'm not sure how they do business in Chester. This is democracy. This is the people's house. And you can come down. You can have your opportunity to listen to the presentation. You can come at public comment to voice your opposition to or your support for other people who are in this building. But you will not disrupt this hearing by coughing and making noises while these individuals are giving their presentations or any members are commenting on the stated matter. If not, you will be removed today. Now you can keep coughing all you want, but I'm gonna show you. We wanna be respectful of everybody inside this room, whether we support their opinion or not. Now keep coughing.
Thank you, Council President. And Council Member, just to follow up on your question, what I was referring to is that there are other studies that also can contradict what was presented in the study from Delaware County. For example, and I would like to present for the record the study that was just released by the Municipal Solid Waste Management Association and Recycling Edition in March 2026, which states chemical waste-to-energy technologies play a pivotal role in valorizing MSW by converting waste to energy and materials while reducing environmental impacts compared to landfilling. The integration into sustainable waste management systems support global efforts towards resource efficiency and climate change mitigation. In developed countries, WTE complements recycling and source separation, while in undeveloped nations, it offers a pathway to reduce open dumping and improve energy access. Continued advancements in process efficiency, emission control, and product valorization will enhance their contributions to a circular economy. By addressing the technical, economic, and social challenges, WTE technologies can serve as a cornerstone of sustainable MSW management, aligning with global sustainability goals. So what I'm referring to is that there are multiple studies that we need to review before we make a decision as to we should eliminate it or ultimately continue to use it altogether.
Thank you for reading that, but I did ask a very specific set of questions. Have you read the Delaware County study in full? And since you brought up the other study, I just wanted to point out that the Delaware County study was quite specific to what's happening in our region. In fact, it mostly focused on Philadelphia's trash. It sounded like what you read was more general, and I would ask whether it focused on the Reworld incinerator in particular, which in addition to being the largest trash incinerator in the entire country, is quite old and not like a lot of the other incinerators that do waste to energy in Europe and other parts of the country. But can you answer my questions about the Delaware County study?
Sure. Me and my staff did review some of the findings in that study, and we don't disagree with the emissions assessment that was made. Although, again, we believe that, it could be looked at as subjective in terms of how the LCAs are evaluated. But we're not here, again, I want to state for the record, to support WTE versus landfilling. We're here to ask this council to give us the opportunity to evaluate it through the RFP process. And I can ask my staff to come up to talk more in detail about the evaluation and review that we did, if time permits. But ultimately, I'm going to just let you know that that's where our position is.
So did you just say that your staff doesn't disagree with the findings of the study, that the trash incineration happening in Chester is 69% worse for the climate than landfilling and 23 times as harmful for both public health and the environment? Is that what you said, that you all don't sort of take qualms with the study that was already done and generated those results?
We don't disagree with the study, but we're saying that there are other studies out there that contrast very differently from the one that was presented. And the data that we have ultimately states there's multiple research agencies that did it from 2016 to 2023, which is much more recent than the study that was done in Delaware.
If you could forward to my office the studies that you have looked at that are as specific to Philadelphia and our surrounding region as the Delaware County study, which again focused specifically on our trash, I would appreciate that. And in closing, I would say if your staff looked at the Delaware County study, which was quite thorough, and are not pushing back on what it showed, which was quite clear data that incineration is much worse for the environment and public health, I would question why you want to have an RFP process that allows something as harmful to our neighbors as the trash incinerator in Chester. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. And I read in for the record the study, and I'll make sure that council members each have a copy. We will send some electronically, but that is a hard copy for the record for the study that we also reviewed and contrasts to the one that currently exists presented by Councilmember Gatia.
All right, this will be made copy and presented to members of the Committee of the Whole.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Councilmember Jim Harity, and then as I mentioned before, Majority Leader Catherine Gilmore Richardson, and then Councilmember Dr. Anthony Phillips.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. Got a lot of respect for you guys. Thank you for what you do. The Clean and Green in my neighborhood is moving right along. You know, we always have little stumbling spots, but you guys, when I tell you are responsive, you guys are responsive, and that's what our neighbors want. But since Councilwoman brought it up, I have a couple questions about the incinerator stuff too. How much would it cost to change the way we deal with our trash? I know that there's the legislation to terminate the contract in Chester. Can you please talk about how much it would cost Philadelphia to transition to this? And have we given any thought to, landfills also cause pollution, so maybe we can make a 5-year plan, just like Chester, to explore better options than landfills or trash incineration. I mean, I know that before COVID, we were almost there with the recycling, and I know you've been around. So I think we were at 18%. We needed to get to 22 to get the federal money. I'm not sure if the federal money's still there. Technology has advanced now. I met with a company that does sorting, recyclables and rubbish, composting type deal, where the AI now, the employees are there, it's very clean, very organized, and the AI hits it with these lasers, and it could tell you there's a banana under that box, please take it out. And then the person lifts up the box, pulls the banana out, puts it in. in realities, neither of these things are good for us, right? What's the cost going to be, and what about making a 5-year plan also, like Chester's doing, in order to phase out through a lot of other different avenues, not just burying our trash other than incinerating it, but also trying to recycle more so we can get more of the federal money. And also compost. I'm a big farmer guy. We got lots of people that would probably use the compost if we had it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Member Harity, for your comment and support. We couldn't agree with you more in this statement that we need to look at other practices away from landfilling and waste-to-energy programs. I think I also said in that initial 5-year testimony about anaerobic digestion and the use of organics, which make up 30 to 40% of our waste stream, combined with recycling, we can get to somewhere we need to be 60 to 70% diversion, which helps us get closer to zero waste. I had the great opportunity last fall to attend the Chicago G-Plex Summit, and we actually witnessed one in a neighborhood that was generating safe, productive energy and organic material. It cost them about $20-something million to build for a 90,000 ton per day facility. That is something that we should be seriously looking at. Commissioner Shipman is already working with PGW and looking at the infrastructure here in the city of Philadelphia to do exactly what you said, to see what Philadelphia's infrastructure could lead to get us away from both waste to energy and landfilling. Commissioner?
Just want to add that, and you stated that very, very well, Director, that we will be piloting some organic waste opportunities for residential homes to be able to remove organic material out. So you'll be seeing that very shortly, and we'll be talking to council about spreading the word on how we remove that particular material from the homes.
Excuse me, Commissioner. I have a point of information. Councilman Jamie Gauthier.
Some quick points of information. There is not an opportunity to come up with a 5-year plan. This is a 7-year contract that will be done June 30th. And if we do not pick another partner or alternative, we'll be in another 7-year contract with ReWorld, which is not only the largest incinerator in the country, it's the largest industrial polluter in the region. And so the timeline for that would be past the Parker administration. Wanted to point out that there is no sorting that happens at this facility. I went to visit and also had a number of colleagues and staff visit with me. They sort of eyeball it, so they don't know really what they're burning. And then lastly, we've looked at the cost. It's about $6 million more to switch to a landfilling alternative, which in a $7 billion budget is almost a rounding error, and a lot cheaper than what you have to pay for the public health costs associated for asthma and cancer in both Chester and Philadelphia. Thank you.
Mr. President, can I give a...
Respectfully, too, though,
Chair,
I would add that if...
Chair recognizes the Councilmember Jim Harity.
I would also recognize that, as you just said, that if we did do a 5-year plan, say 7 years, we would be in the same time frame as Chester is planning to do theirs. They're planning 5 to 7 year phase out. If we do a 5-year plan with a 7 years, so you're talking the same amount of time, we would all stop together. Maybe we could get a better price on the landfill. But thank you, Commissioner. Could you please answer the question?
Member Gauthier,
You're welcome, sir.
could you let the gentleman who's on the floor continue to keep speaking? Member Harity?
Yes, thank you. That's what I had to say. I mean, listen, it would bring us to around the same time that Chester wants to stop too. That way maybe we can work on together getting better prices, and by that time we'll also have better recycling and all. I'm just saying we need a lot more planning here, and still would like to know, if you don't have it here, the cost analysis.
Yeah, thank you for your comments. And Council President.
Just 1 second.
Yep.
Chair recognizes Councilman Jamie Gauthier for a point of information.
Again, the Philadelphia contract will be finished. Chester is not in the same position. Neither does Chester make that decision for their city. Delaware County does. And they are not at the end of their contract. Philadelphia is at the end of its contract, where it has the opportunity to make another choice and to decide whether clean and green also means being kind to our neighbors. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Carlton Williams.
Yes, just a point of clarification, council member, the contract is for a guaranteed 4-year with 1 3-year renewable option year. So in theory, 4 years is what we're committed to. We can renew the contract in its 5th year, council member. I just wanted that stated for the record
was
because
what
it's
I'm
not a
saying.
straight 7-year contract.
And
The
just,
chair recognizes Councilmember Jim Harity.
this is just information too. Ohio, Maryland, and the 5 other counties in Pennsylvania that are currently burning trash there also, they have no intentions of stopping, right?
Commissioner, it's not to my knowledge, but I'll turn it over to the commissioner.
Based on what we know, we have not received word that the counties that you've mentioned or the other states, New York, New Jersey, have any plans to pull out. That we have not received any of that information.
Thank you, guys. And if you could just give me that cost analysis, if you could send it to us so we'd all have that information in our comparison.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Chair recognizes Councilmember and Majority Leader Kathleen Gilmore Richardson, then Councilmember Dr. Anthony Phillips, then Minority Leader Kendra Brooks.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Council President, and thank you to our colleagues. I also wanted to mention that you asked my questions regarding Future Track. You know that I was going to ask about workforce development, but I'll start with my thank yous. Again, thank you to our Commissioner, Crystal Jacobs Shipman, to our Director of Clean and Green, Carlton Williams, to Keith Warren, who I think I email at all times of the day and night. We are currently working on, I think, at least 5 or 6 constituent cases just from the last week or two. I must mention Community Life Improvement Program CLIP with Tom Conway, the longtime founding executive director, and also Rochelle Hand, the Deputy of Operations, the CLIP staff from all the way down from Tom to all the crews who are on the street. We thank you for all of the work that you all are doing to really help us address a myriad of issues across the city of Philadelphia. And we thank you for being responsive and for always getting back to us. I wanted to go back quickly to recycling. And I heard that our rates are improving, particularly from the pandemic period, which is wonderful. And we always talk about the education, the enforcement, and the compliance as it relates to recycling. So can you just talk about the staffing from a Class 100 perspective complement that we, or that you all have proposed in this budget specifically for recycling? And talk about the goals, if any, around ensuring that we can increase the rate of recycling in the city. I know we had that program years ago, and I'm forgetting the name of the program. This may have been 10 or 15 years. Fill-a-cycle, and you would receive rewards and points for recycling.
Yes.
Can you just talk about that and what we're doing to try to incentivize recycling to increase our rate in the city?
Yeah, the program Fill-a-Cycle was Recycle Bank as well. It had 2 names.
Recycle Bank, that's the one.
Yeah, so it used to reward people for participating in the program with, gift cards or coupons to
Yes.
locations and local businesses and stores. We thought it was a great idea. It was a great program, but that's when recycling was actually benefiting the city of Philadelphia, and we were actually making money. Believe it or not, council member, it was a time where we made $6 million a year off of recyclable material. Unfortunately, now we're paying close to $10 million, and to sustain a program like that was very difficult. We need to reinvest in domestic markets so that we can get those rates back to favorable productivity, and we're working on that. But we need to continue and maintain our program for the environment and for future generations to use, because it does continue to preserve our natural resources. But because of the shift in dynamics, what particularly happened over overseas markets, we unfortunately had to discontinue the program. I'll turn it over to the commissioner for follow-up.
Sure, but how has that impacted? So we've, I'm sure, had to increase our recycling costs year over year as a result of that. And I thought that was a great program. I even used that program. I remember the wonderful program. How has that impacted how much we are needing to invest year over year in recycling? But again, we need to focus on the education, the enforcement, and the compliance. So what do we have relative to a proposed staffing complement for recycling?
So our sweep unit is the primary unit that educates or provides education specific to recycling. They're also responsible for enforcement. They are the folks who are more commonly seen traversing the business corridors, our residential corridors to provide education. They also staff the events that are hosted where we're able to reach out to our constituents specifically. At present, we do have we're budgeted for a number of sweep officers, and I don't have that number right in front of me. We're continuing to staff up in that particular unit. In fact, I think there are interviews taking place right now to increase the number of people who serve in that unit to provide the education and the campaigns that we need to roll out. In addition to that, you'll start to see going back to the basics, us being able to communicate directly with the public to say, hey, this is what is recyclable, make sure that you get the good materials in so that we can continue to increase the rate, get us back to that 21% that Councilman Harity mentioned.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I heard the bell and I want to honor the clock, but I have to give a shout out to the sweep officers who have come to the block parties that we've had, Councilmember Jones, and also put my plug in. You know, I have to say this, Jones, for twice weekly trash collection for the Winfield community. That's for you, Sheila Wilson. That's for Sheila Wilson. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you,
And
Councilman.
Councilwoman, Deputy Commissioner Newman did let me know we are budgeted for 76 sweep officers and 54 are filled.
Oh, okay. Okay. And are there any vacancies?
Those are the vacancies.
The vacancies, about 22. Okay.
And like I said, we're interviewing now, and hopefully we get that as staffed up as possible.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Majority Leader. Thank you for honoring the clock. Next is Councilmember Dr. Anthony Phillips, then Minority Leader Kendra Brooks, and then Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmed.
Thank you so much, Council President. I just want to begin by thanking Carlton Williams for his leadership as the Director of Clean and Green.
Time out. Council Beatties, time out. Don't both of y'all, all three of y'all from the Northwest.
Has nothing to do with efficiency and effectiveness.
I don't understand.
We just bring great, so is this
I know the madam is out there somewhere watching this.
But-
Dr. Phillips, floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. And I also want to thank our Commissioner, Crystal Jacob Shipman, as well. This is a department, to me, that I believe is the best department in the city of Philadelphia. There's from the idea of the twice a week mechanical sweep cleanup to the cleanup teams that we have, to the incredible focus on illegal dumping. And then also, even when there's an error that happens, you all tend to clean it up that same day or the next day. And so for me, that's what Philadelphia is looking for in terms of, greatness. So I just want to say thank you all so much. And I do want to ask you this question that hopefully can help other departments. You all have a 3% vacancy rate, which is roughly around 60 people that you haven't hired out of like 1,000 or so people on your staff. 1,800, excuse me. And what are you all doing, right, to make sure like that you're doing well, your HR department is doing well to make sure that hiring is taking place? Because clearly you all have a great model for that.
So I'm going to ask Deputy Commissioner Chris Newman to talk about HR work, but I will say Future Track plays a huge role in that because we have work-ready people ready to fill positions once they're open. That is a huge advantage of the program. By allowing them to come in, get trained, have experience, and then when a position opens up or have a waiting list, you don't have those long delays. And so those workforce development programs are awesome. They really do work. And they provide, again, that win-win-win situation. That's the win for us. We get people who we've already trained, we know they can do the job, and we put them in positions and they're able to fill it right away.
Right. And right before the Deputy Commissioner's response, I just want to also add, our office met with Trash Academy, which is a community-led initiative They have some questions around the home initiative. There's going to be a lot of, they're concerned that that construction and demolition is going to cause debris that can contribute to higher levels of dumping, illegal dumping. Given that, does the department have a plan to work with the construction, companies that are going to have to respond to illegal dumping and demolition debris? And how is the department coordinating with developers and contractors and other agencies to ensure proper disposal happens? So I guess that question can be answered after we hear from, those are my only two questions. Three, I think.
Good morning, council member.
Yep.
My name's Chris Newman. I'm the Deputy Commissioner for Administration in the Sanitation Department. Thank you for noticing the vacancy rate. Director Williams is correct. Most of it is Future Track, our Future Track Workforce Development Program. If you look at how many people have been hired just this year alone, it's over 300 that we've hired. 100 of them were Future Trackers. But in addition to that, the other thing that we do is we're just continuously in hiring mode. We learned a number of years ago that we could just continuously have new hire classes on a monthly or bi-monthly basis to keep up with our attrition rates. In some of our jobs, we do have high turnover rates, so it requires us to kind of just keep on moving forward with hiring, and we've established a great relationship with the Office of Human Resources in helping us do that.
Thank you. And then for the
Sure. We had a very productive meeting with Clean Philly Now, maybe about a week ago, to talk about what the concerns that they had in reference to the home initiative. Obviously, we would work definitely with our administration within planning and the housing division with Jesse Lawrence and Ms. Angela Dixon to talk about those initiatives, but to ensure, and they're just basic common sense requests, to ensure that any contractor that's doing construction in the city is following the rules and not dumping it and recycling the material as much as possible, and to make sure that we have checks and balances and to make sure that happens. So I'm looking forward to continuously working with them to make sure that those things happen, either through policy or through any other form of legislation that we can assist with.
Thank you for your incredible work. And yes, please share with the HR departments how you all are doing that across the city. The street says 17%. And I'm so confused by that. So thank you so much as a vacancy rate. Thank you. Thank y'all for what y'all do.
Thank you very much, sir. Chair recognizes Minority Leader Kendra Brooks, then Councilmember Dr. Nina Ahmed, then Councilmember Nicholas O'Rourke.
Thank you, Council President, and thank you guys from the Office of Green and Green for all the work that you do. One of the next initiatives that I have been proud to lead is my work on community gardens. We are currently years into the process, and many of those gardens are now making their way through the land bank thanks to this council and the advocacy of the community gardeners. I want to see what, if any, role the Office of Green and Green initiatives can help play for community gardens. And if you haven't been involved this far, how can we get the office to better be engaged and involved with community gardens?
Thank you, Council Member. We're happy to report that we are launching a new initiative this spring called Lotscapes. Lotscapes is exactly what the community gardeners have been doing on their own for years, but it's a formal process for us to transform lots into a usable, viable, open space that the community can enjoy, driven by the community. So they can either put an organic garden in that location, they can have a sitting area or a play area for young people, or a mural design 3D version of a lotscape, as you can imagine, that beautifies the neighborhood. And we think this makes a huge difference, not only in the quality of life, but it also reduces crime. There are studies that show from the University of Penn that when you have green, open space communities, that there's a 30% decrease in crime, violent crime. So this is why we're making this investment. There's 10 locations that this year, this spring, that we're hoping to complete and finish and show as examples of what we can do across the city, and then to formalize the process. There are some policy issues that we have to work through about ownership and who's going to be insured by it and who's going to take responsibility for it. But we think working with PHDC and the land bank that we can get through those and helping the community by making those lots active and viable for community residents.
So the conversations you're having in the policy pieces, will it be coordinated with the current work that's being done around community gardens? Because it took us so long to even move to the point that we are, and we're in some of the same discussions and have been in discussions for 5 years now, as long as I've been in office. That's one of the first things I started working on. So I just want to make sure as we're creating this system that it's the same conversation to streamline the efforts of the many community gardeners around the city that are getting stuck in some level of policy around this work, and making sure that we're working with all the agencies that are already existing and not just lifting up new programs. So I would love if we can do some coordination, because right now we've worked on saving 90 gardens in the city,
That's great.
right? So we need to make sure those 10 have the same opportunities as the 90 that we're still trying to get legalized in the city.
Absolutely. My deputy director, Casey Kuklik, is directly working very closely with them, and he can reach out to your office to ensure that community gardens is definitely a part of that conversation.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Councilman Dr. Nina Ahmed, then Councilman Nicholas O'Rourke, then Jeffrey J. Young, and Rue Landau.
Thank you, Council President. Good morning. Good to see you all, and thank you. Echo everybody in my thanks for being so highly responsive. I try not to bother you, but you always answer the calls. I deeply appreciate that. I have a question about a specific item. I see that the $1.5 million contract with PHS to enact the land care program is being cut. That's on page 15 of the supporting detail professional services segment. I just wanted to know why that was being cut, because this was the same day pay work that happened in lots with young people, I believe, and I saw it be very, very effective using young people on weekends, redirecting them. So I just wanted to know what was that. It goes to zero, so I just wanted to
I'm going to ask Deputy Commissioner Chris Newman to come up and talk about the cut, and then we can then follow up.
Good morning, council member.
And a point of information as well, could you also add that if there is a cut to PHS, Philadelphia Horticultural Society, but there is a commitment from the administration to build, I guess it's 1,000+ trees, who's actually doing the work if we're actually cutting back in the area of the organization who will actually help us plant trees?
Yes. It's not cut. I'm happy to report it's not cut.
Yes.
So what you're looking at, we actually had that budgeted under what was called the solid waste program, budgetary program. We created and established the Office of Clean and Green program in the budget. It wasn't in there before, so it was just moved from one program to another.
And so
the 1.5 is still there.
Still there, and it will still do that program of having young people work on those corner lots, empty lots to do the cleanup. Because that was extreme. I was actually going to see if you need more resources there, because we've had nonprofits who've come and told me how well that has been working, and the redirection of our young people to feel pride in cleaning up their own corners has been immense. So I'm so glad to hear that. Second question quickly is, a lot of conversation about recycling, and I know it costs, but it costs not to do it is part of the issue. And just a very mundane matter of recycling just in our offices, there seems to be a confusion about who does what in terms of clearing our waste, and different contracts are operating and they don't all do the same thing. So if we are going to really do recycling, we have to showcase what we are doing and model the good behavior. So I just wanted to know what goes on there and how we can resolve that.
So I'll first speak specifically to what's going on in City Hall. Council President did bring to our attention that there was some confusion as to whether or not the materials that leave City Hall are actually being recycled. And so I will say that we do provide both trash and recycling collection here at City Hall. And I think the confusion has been in the collection process itself, whether or not the workers, the folks who are working here are actually separating once you've separated. So we are working very closely with the 3 different organizations that collect trash from this building to, one, provide different types of collection receptacles. So the hope is that there will be an investment in a bag that would be, that is able to be recycled. So maybe a brown bag for your recycling and then a bag for your trash, so that you have the ability to make sure that the items are separated on your end and then that they're collected separately and placed downstairs in the basement in the 2 separate items.
Good to hear, because the prevailing thought is told to me, it all goes in the same place. Why are you, because I'm religiously separating my trash and I'm told it's useless, but I hear you. Just quickly, last question, and this has been touched upon briefly by some of my colleagues, including Councilmember Harity, about using technology to really reduce our garbage, the ones that need to go to either incinerator or landfill. What are we doing in real terms to employ what we have, current technology, to really reduce that? And also, how are we investing in composting? And that is going to really, we are going to need to separate and then do something with that separated trash. So I wanted to know that we had a very successful campaign to get people to recycle before, right? So we know we can change culture in terms of people doing it. What we need to really, if we're really going to address incineration and landfills and the pros and cons of that, we have to make a commitment as a city to reduce our waste, number one, and then to actually do things with the waste that make sense without causing detriment to our health.
Yeah, I'll start and then I'll turn it over to Commissioner Shipman to talk about organics. And thank you for your comment, Council Member. We think that there's a real opportunity here in the city of Philadelphia to do organics. Right now, our water department uses digesters in the city of Philadelphia to do sludge waste and turn it into energy. So the capability is there. We could do the same thing for food waste or organic material, whether it be using existing city resources or having a public-private partnership where one is built here, like in the city of Chicago. We're also working with PGW to explore what those could mean in terms of dollars. There's energy credits available when we do make that transition. So I think that is a very real opportunity for us to do so. I think that there's definitely needs to be the commitment. We're working on an RFI to see what companies could come in and actually build here in the city of Philadelphia. I also want to say for the record that in our existing contract, there's always provisions for us to move tonnage. So there was a 25,000 tons with stipulation that we can use to pilot programs that would allow us to see what technologies could work best for Philadelphia. We anticipate putting that same clause back in this upcoming contract to give us those opportunities to explore what works in the city. So if we can do it on a small scale immediately, then we can grow it out to a larger scale and eventually transition our entire waste system to that. But I'll turn it over to Commissioner Shipman for additional comments on organics.
As mentioned, we are piloting a small organics program that will help residents to remove the materials that are in their home. A big portion of that comes with the education and just telling folks, hey, you don't need to put the organic materials in the trash. It can go to a place where it can be easily reused, repurposed. And so we will be focusing on that in this upcoming fiscal year, and again, working very closely with you all to make sure that those locations are known, where people can drop off their material and how it will be utilized from there.
Thank you so much. I look forward to a robust program that signals to the city that we can be #1 city to be really look at our trash in an environmental justice manner to make sure we're not impacting people. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Chair now has Councilman Nicholas O'Rourke, Jeffrey J. Young, and Rue Landau.
The doctors work too hard for them titles. I ain't gonna take one unduly, but thank you.
My bad, Pastor.
Appreciate you, sir. And thank you for your time and all those that are with us today. I want to start my time by talking about Councilmember Gaultier's Stop Trashing Our Air Act. Legislation that I've supported through the Committee on Environment, as I have the pleasure of serving as a part of that committee. And I will be personally proud to celebrate it on final passage as well. Before I get into my questions, I wanted to share something, because the beauty of being an at-large member is that you represent the entirety of the city. You don't have necessarily the focus of a district member, but you have to amplify the voices of your constituents. I was not here the day that a number of children came through the chamber to share their views and beliefs on the topic, but I did want to share a few things I thought were pretty interesting from what they said. If I may, use a little bit of my time to just read this to you. On the 11th of March, dear Mayor Parker, I believe that we need to stop trash burning in Philly. We need to do that because 70% of Chester's population is black, and that is environmental racism. Literally what they wrote. Everyone in Chester deserves the right to live in a clean and green place. Everyone deserves the right to breathe clean air. There are other industrial places next to the incinerator, and that is a lot of pollution for one neighborhood. If we can make people healthier, why wouldn't we? I thought that was stark. That was from, there was more that they wrote, but that was from Poppy, from Fannie Jackson Coppin. They're a second grader. There was another one, Dear Mayor Parker, I believe we need to stop burning trash because when the trash gets burned, the trash gets buried, it pollutes the groundwater and the ash is toxic. Kids get asthma because of the air pollution. A greener job would be like a composter or a gardener. 70% of Chester is black. The smoke can spread here too. We used to have trash incinerators in Philadelphia, and even in the district attorney then sued the city because they were causing so much pollution, and now we are letting Chester deal with all that deadly pollution. How is that fair for Chester? That's why we should stop the trash incinerator. Sincerely, Leo. I like that one. This one was like a little booklet. I didn't even get this one beforehand. This was actually on my desk already. This is kind of cute. They put it together. Once there was a land where people were sick and the world was smoke because all that smoke was coming from the incinerator, ! The incinerator is bad, the people say, but the council members and the mayor did not listen. So they protested and rallied just to shut it down. Let Chester breathe, save our air. They got a little protest picture in the booklet. And then at the end it says, and that's why we should shut the incinerator down, the end. I thought that was good writing. So I wanted to share those with you because, as the president said, this is what democracy looks like, and their voices particularly matter. I said during the committee that I was struck by this. It wasn't read up on it prior to the bill being proposed, but it's amazing to me that we would have such a close example of environmental racism to the city of Philadelphia, and that we would miss the opportunity to act on that, to resist it. I hear the bill. I basically wanted to ask that, with these students that, cut through all the bureaucracy and get to the heart of the red tape, what they're saying is burning trash pollutes our air and it makes people sick, especially them. So with that in mind, can you, either Commissioner Jacob Shipman or Director Williams, tell us clearly, when will the administration submit the waste disposal contracts to City Council for approval? I asked that question, and again, I want us to just sit with what they're sharing here, because there are very rare opportunities for us to be able to affirm what seems to be a growing and bustling moral compass. I thank God that we have children to look up to, but for their clarity on this issue, I think we ought to keep that in mind as we try to address this very, complex issue. But can you share with us when you might submit those?
So let me first of all acknowledge and thank those young people for taking action to voice their opinions in regards to their health and concern, not only for the city of Chester, but for the environment. And we recognize that, and we are not ignoring it. What we're simply asking for, council members, is the opportunity to evaluate it. Because just as those many people, including those children, say it's dangerous, others say it's not. And then we have the dual responsibility, because what we decide on this contract will impact the citizens of Philadelphia and the city of Chester. If we send it to landfills, they have health issues as well. They distribute methane gas that globally affects not only the city of Chester, Philadelphia, but the entire planet. We have to take advantage and look at what's right for Philadelphia, what's right for Chester, and what's right for our environment. We have a responsibility to do that environmentally and fiscally, because we don't know the impact of if we're forced to move one way or another, if we don't fully evaluate it. This is all we're asking. We're taking those in consideration. We appreciate Councilmember Gautier's passion for this issue, but we need the opportunity to look at the RFP in its totality, look at objective data that's able to say, this is dangerous, this is not, this is cost effective, this is not. These are the things that we need to do in an RFP process. And unfortunately, I think, if we preempt that, we don't have that opportunity.
Thank you for the response. I'm wrapping because I did hear the bell. I'll just say that I want to echo the clarity that Member Gautier brought in her point of information to Member Harity, that we've seen this particular process before. In 2012, as well as 19, contracts were submitted in early June, just weeks before they were set to take effect, and that effectively forces council into a take it or leave it position, which I think that we need to be mindful of the time frame. And so government is difficult, this is slow, there's a lot of moving pieces, but I want to keep bringing up the timeline point because I think that urgency, it demands an urgency of us to be clear and to act before we get get into a situation where we can't move or address that particular issue. But I hear the interest in taking the time necessary to observe those things. I just want to make sure that I repeat and echo that sense of urgency I think that we need on this particular matter.
Absolutely, and I just want to also acknowledge that the process did change because of Councilmember Gautier. We met prior to the announcement to talk about evaluating the environmental impacts, which is the first time out of those contracts that you stated, would be our first time looking at an environmental factor that not only looks at cost, but it looks at the impact that it's having, and having an objective outside agencies from MSW and CEC, which looks at, particularly in the air environment, to tell us some recommendations as to what this actually means. So that's why we're asking for that time. But I do want to acknowledge Councilmember Gautier's efforts. It did make changes in the RFP process, and that's the process that we want to follow.
That's good. That's very good that we're moving forward and changing the way that we move based off of the way things that are being proposed. I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Chair recognizes Councilman Jeffrey J. Young, Councilman Rue Landau, then Ketty Lozada, then Bass.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank this office for your hard work. You are one of the hardest working, I'll say, service departments in the city. So again, thank you to the Office of Clean and Green for what you do for our city. First question I have is regarding the recycling budget. Can you, Mr. Director Williams, you said there was $10 million that the city pays in recycling. Can you tell us, is that on average of what other cities are paying in their recycling costs? And also, could you tell us how much of our recycling actually gets lost because of whatever reason, damage or things like that, and has to go into our landfills or incinerators?
Sure, I'm going to ask Deputy Commissioner Newman to come up in reference to cost, and then also I think our recycling director, Kyle Lewis, is she here? She's not here. Okay. Scott McGrath could talk about, Environmental Services Director Scott McGrath. He can talk about contamination, I think is what you're referring to. It's things that don't make it to the processing facility because it's soiled or contaminated or it just is not part of the recycling stream. I think those are the things that impact our ability to process the material, which drives up costs. But the $10 million certainly goes to the cost for processing and to, unfortunately, if we don't have markets that we can actually sell the material on the open market, it then comes at a price for us to have to warehouse it and so forth. And that's at the industry level. In comparison to other cities, I think Environmental Services Director Scott McGrath will tell you that this is probably a good rate for Philadelphia because other cities are paying much higher to recycled material.
I would ask, what is New York paying, right, as a comparable East Coast
We're
city?
paying about $90 a ton to process recyclable material.
Do you know what New York is paying comparably?
I'm going to ask our environmental services expert to come up and he can give you that information.
We can check on the New York rate, which is actually based on a long-term 20-year contract that involves both city and vendor investments in both buildings and equipment. So it's really difficult to compare the two.
Great, thank you for that. I want to move on to my next question because you answered that part of my question for me. But you led into the next question about longer-term trash and recycling contracts. You said they reduce stable pricing. But what specific procurement timeline, contract structure, pricing controls, and like vendor accountability measures will be in place for these long-term contracts to ensure that that can happen, so we can get some of those lower costs that other cities are paying when it comes to recycling?
Sure, that is a part of the negotiation process that we're going through right now. The recycling contract is also up for negotiation in terms of what the city can get in terms of best value. And that's what we're working towards now. So we won't know that until this process is complete, but we are working to get the best deal for the city of Philadelphia under our current terms and conditions and facilities available.
Thank you. Madam Leader, I heard the bill. I have one more question, please, if you don't mind.
Okay, please, yes, 30 seconds.
Thank you. So this question's about the twice-a-week trash collection. What evidence shows that this trash collection expansion is reducing litter, illegal dumpings, miscollections, complaint volume? Like, is this enough to justify the cost of the twice-a-week trash collection? I'll tell you that we get mixed reviews about it. Some communities love it. Some people, I'll say, will complain about it because they see more trash. Like, what can we do regarding the twice-a-week trash collection to ensure that it's not creating a negative impact on our communities?
So to answer your first question, 311 data shows us the reduction in the number of calls and complaints that we're getting in terms of illegal dumping. It's down in some neighborhoods in South Philadelphia, 20%, which is a significant number. It's too early to tell in North Philadelphia yet because we haven't run a full-scale program to get enough data to show the difference if it's making an impact. We have had challenges because of the storms disrupting our collection processes, so we're trying to get back on track so that we can deliver the service that the program is expecting to achieve. But we are working with the commissioner and deputy commissioner and the whole team to be able to do that so that we can mitigate some of those problems. They're not incorrect when they make those complaints. It has been sporadic because we were off schedule, but we expect to address those issues very soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Leader.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilmember Young. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Landau.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Hi, thank you for being here. I've got two buckets of questions for you, and I want to start first with recycling again. Increasing people's recycling is really all about education. I've heard from many constituents, thank you, who have talked about the fact that if our recycling numbers reduce to 9%, it's as if we don't have recycling at all. When I first started in 2024, you told me that we were recycling for 13%, and now we're only up to 14%. And I think as somebody who's around a lot of teenagers all the time, they do not believe that recycling is real. They actually tell me it's a myth. They throw things that should be recycled in the trash can. And I wanted to know very seriously, my numbers are a little different from yours. It seems that we're spending $10 million if we have $10 million on recycling, and if we have 85 tons of recycling, we're spending about 117 dollars a ton, and not just 90. So I wanted to talk about reducing that cost, increasing education, and then I have some incinerator questions as well.
Sure, you want to talk about the recycling and education program?
Sure. I'll just say, Councilmember Landau, that it's a national challenge for people to believe that folks are recycling. It's not just a Philadelphia issue. What we saw over COVID, and I know it seems so long ago, but it actually isn't that long ago, was you had communities that were have completely stopped recycling. Even more recently, you've had communities completely stop recycling. In Philadelphia, we never stopped recycling. And so what we're trying to do through the educational campaigns that we're bringing back, one, get back to the basics of explaining exactly what goes in so that it's not confusing, and then getting that messaging out into the schools. And Deputy Warren would be kicking me right now if he was close enough just to mention that we have programs like our Green Schools program where we help to encourage different recycling efforts and get into the schools so that we can fund the different programs that they utilize to help educate each other. We're doing a program right now with City Year to also get the messaging into the schools about recycling, because we do realize if we get them in the schools, we catch them early, they can take that messaging home to their parents, and then we can help to further build up our recycling rate.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and council member, just clarification, we budgeted it because it was over $100 a ton and the rate did improve. So it's closer to $9 million than what we're paying in actual cost. But last year we budgeted, and that's the number that I gave when I said $10 million. So that gives you closer to the $90 per ton that we were stating earlier. So I wanted to clarify that for the record.
Thank you. And a couple of quick questions. I wanted to clarify something. You submitted on the record a study. Was that your study on the impacts of burning trash?
Sir, could you please repeat the question? I'm sorry.
The study that you gave to Council President, was that your study that you did on burning trash?
No, that was an existing study that was done by researchers from Idaho, and it was done in the Recycling Magazine of an agency that's very credible from the Municipal Solid Waste Managers Association of America.
When will your study be done? How much did it cost? And why is your study, what's the difference between your study and the one commissioned by Delaware County?
I think what we're doing is having a independent, objective review process from MSW Consultants, which is a nationally renowned agency that looks at all waste strategies that we've worked with for a number of years to give that data. And then we also are adding a component from CEC. And what does CEC stand for, Scott? I forget their name.
The CDC? CEC. It's Community Environmental Consultants.
So the combination of these two studies will give us the data that we need to objectively include in our factorization of what the impacts are. And those will go into evaluating it. So it's not that we're not believing Delaware County, but we also have another report that says different than Delaware County, and this is why we need an objective review that we need to do on our own.
We knew the deadline was coming up for this contract. When did you launch this concept that this information that will come to you will give you the information that you need? We've always known the deadline.
Well, I mentioned earlier that Councilmember Gautier changed the game when we met last year and said we need this as a part of the review process, and that's what we agreed, and that's why it started last year in order for us to start gathering contracting information to be able to include in this RFP. So this is not a small item. This is a huge deal in terms of us being able to determine what the environmental impacts of these facilities offer versus what they submit in terms of pricing.
Okay, and you will submit to us how much it's costing you?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilmember Landau. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Lozada.
Thank you, Madam Leader. First, good morning, and thank you for being with us today. I also would like to begin by expressing gratitude for both of your teams in the 7th Council District. I know that I text like many other council members at all hours of the night and always get a response. Special shout out to Keith Warren, because it doesn't matter the day, the time, the time of the year, he's always very responsive, so I want to express my deep gratitude to him. Many of my questions have been asked by my colleagues, but I think that although we have come a long way, especially as it relates to litter in the 7th Council District, I think part of what I believe we need to be doing is around education, right? We need to change the culture in neighborhoods around short dumping and throwing out trash and how we put out our trash. And we need to be able to hold ourselves accountable. And I know that we depend very highly on our amazing block captains. But what can we do better? What are we looking to do to change the culture in neighborhoods that are consistently dumped on? And how do we work to better hold each other accountable, but also educate residents on how to prevent those who come from the outside into our neighborhoods and think that it's okay to short them?
Thank you, Council Member. I know you're very passionate about this issue because it impacts all of our city, but your district in particular, you've expressed concerns about locations that have been problematic. I think you touched base on a couple of them already, and one of the things that we're working on currently right now, as you know, we've launched the Illegal Dumping Task Force to increase the fines and ultimately hold people more accountable. We've added more cameras, but that may not be enough, and we need to do more, and that part of it starts with education. We are launching an educational campaign for illegal dumping to let people know, first of all, what can you do when you see it, how to report it, and what we can do about it. Secondly, we want to offer resources as well. Commissioner, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Jacob Shipman in a moment to talk about how successful the bulk collection program has been across the city of Philadelphia, which many people are taking advantage of. Many times that people would take these materials and just discard it, but now that we have this program in place, they now have an opportunity to get rid of it. So just enforcement alone won't do it. It takes a combination of different resources. Education that you talked about, enforcement definitely, because people should know better not to come into a community and dump their construction debris, their trash, and anything else. But it also takes programs to help people who are struggling the most, and Commissioner Shipman can talk a little bit about those programs as well.
So specific to what we offer in the department, as the director mentioned, would be our bulk collection program, which directly supports the types of items we see dumped on our corners unnecessarily. One, we do, offer the opportunity for people to bring them to our sanitation convenience center. It's available. We have 6 locations. They're open 6 days a week. But if you can't do that, or you need someone to pick it up from home, it's as simple as calling 311 or going to phila.gov, and you fill out a very simple form. I'm telling you, it takes you less than 3 minutes. We'll come get that refrigerator. We'll come get that washer and dryer. We take up to 4 tires at one time. And so we've seen a lot of success with that program, but we do need to continue to try to get the word out so people will know the corner is not the solution. You do have viable options within the city of Philadelphia to place the materials that are in the homes. And one thing I was surprised Director Williams didn't mention were just the partnerships that we have with a lot of the community organizations. And one that comes to mind is North 10 and the pilot that they're doing regarding illegal dumping, where they're actively going out more like on a foot basis, grassrootsy effort to tell people, hey, if you're going to illegally dump, we do have an opportunity for you to get a voucher that if the materials are not the types of materials we accept at our convenience centers or that we'll pick up curbside, you can use this voucher to drop them off at a location that accepts it for free.
And one last item is that transforming neighborhoods so that people don't think dumping is okay. And we mentioned Lotscapes with Council Member Brooks earlier. We think this is going to be a huge program. HASE is one of the programs that we're going to be working closely with as a pilot area so that we can demonstrate how effective a transform and beautified lot can have on a community.
Thank you. I work very closely with many of the schools in the 7th Council District, and I can't tell you how often some of the young people in classrooms tell me that one of the things that bothers them most is seeing trash. And so how are we partnering with some of our schools, particularly in our younger grades, right, that 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th grade, where we're starting to shift the culture of trash and throwing out trash and how we dispose of trash. How are we working with our schools in local neighborhoods to make sure that we're doing the work intentionally to shift the culture?
So I will bring up Green Schools again as one of the programs that we do offer that provides grant funding directly to the school. So it's not we don't have to go through the school district. The school itself applies, and they can utilize it either for a recycling or a green-friendly project that'll allow them to pick what it is they want to support, an effort they want to support. So it's one of the ways in which we partner with our schools to be able to support their specific efforts and their specific needs.
I haven't heard about that, so I want to be a partner in that. I want to work towards making sure that community residents know, particularly our students, about these types of programs. And then one of my other questions is around employment. And I see that you guys have done a lot of work in making sure that you fill some of those vacancies, but I see that as it relates to the equipment operators, that is still challenging. When you are working with some of our Future Track folks or some of these community-based organizations, have you all talked to them about the support that you need to be able to fill positions like this?
And thank you so much, Councilman Lozada. If you could give an expeditious response, we
Sure.
still have 8 additional members in the queue.
Sure. We have a CDL training program that when they become full-time employee, we strongly encourage them to take part of it. After 6 months being employed with the city of Philadelphia, they're eligible.
If you can share that information with me too, that would be great. Thank
Absolutely.
You. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Lozada. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Bass.
Thank you, Madam Chair. How are you?
Hello.
It's good to see you all. I want to say a big thank you. I text you all morning, noon, and night, and Crystal, Keith, and Carlton, of course, and you always respond. And I'm gonna give a big shout out to Keith, because I know that you and your crew are out here, again, morning, noon, and night, getting up trash. It doesn't matter what's going on, whatever else is happening, you make it happen. So I just really want to tell you how much we appreciate all of the hard work by the Streets Department. So thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I also wanted to shout out from Philly Future Track, the work that you do on that program. It's so important. So many people want to get into it. I'm excited to hear that it's coming back. More is going to be happening around Philly Future Track. And I also want to give a shout out to Myra Brown and N1, who helps provide some of the professional services. I know for a time you were working at the Nicetown Tioga Library. We have the only library in the system that also has a jobs component to it. And so I know that she was working with you all to help provide jobs from that location at one point. I know she's got other locations now. But again, I just want to say a big thank you. And I wanted to talk, the problem with going near the end is that everybody's asked all the questions that you wanted to ask. But I wanted to ask you about trash and dumping, because, we call you, and you all know, you come out, it's the same spots over and over and over again. But I'd really like to dig into technology and the use of technology to try to solve the problem. It's very frustrating for me, and I know it's frustrating for you as well, that I'll call you about the exact same sites over and over and over again. And I know we have cameras, that's great, but it's not really moving the needle in terms of you not having to go to these same spots over and over and over again.
Oh, you want me to comment? Okay.
Yes.
In some areas, they've worked very effective. In others, as you mentioned, they haven't been effective as much.
Can you tell us how many people have been identified and prosecuted as a result of the cameras on site? Do you have an idea of what that is?
Yeah, I can submit this also for the record, but this year, there was 113 notices of violation issued by our law department under the new policy in which our council and our mayor passed several years ago, where you can get up to $5,000 per item per incident if you use a vehicle, and $2,000 if it's independently dumping. Of those cases, 17 of them have been closed, 40 of them have been filed in court. There's a sum of $10,000 in restitution, and for a total of sum on all judgments of $908,000. This was on top of the previous year's $3.2 million, so well over.
That's what we collected from people who?
This is a judgment, so they still have to collect that. The
Okay.
real restitution money is about $70,000 we've collected off of people who have agreed to pay for the restitution to give back to the city of Philadelphia. But the judgments remain on business records, and they have to be collected by the law
Do
department.
we confiscate vehicles as well? And
So
are we doing that?
we have passed, and Councilmember Squilla is here along with City Council, who's championed legislation to allow PPA to tow a vehicle, not necessarily confiscated, but to tow it in the act, and they have to pay to actually get it out of storage for committing an illegal act of dumping. So that was just passed last summer, and we're excited about that because that's another tool in the toolbox for us to be able to hold people accountable. I think we need to do what you guys always ask us to do, is this needs to be advertised and told publicly so people understand what the options are to be able to address these issues, and that's what we're going to work on.
Okay. I just want to add a couple of little things. I know the bell is rung, so I'll be brief. The Stop Trashing Our Air Act. So I'd like to get a little more clarity. I don't know if we have time right now, but I would like to get a little more clarity in terms of what the city is doing and how we are approaching this. I think it's a good thing that we're having this conversation, thanks to the sponsor. You know, something's going to happen. We already know. So this is going to change, and it's going to be better. It's going to be better for Philadelphia. It's going to be better for the residents of Chester. But I'm not really clear as to exactly how we're navigating this situation. But it sounds like you're saying that you basically need a little more time.
We need time for the RFP to be presenting
Right.
proposals to you and City Council
Okay.
from the administration. So
And the timeline on that is what?
we hope to have it late spring, early summer.
Okay.
And if necessarily, we can ask for an extension on our existing contract to accomplish that, because we want to make sure that we get it right. We certainly don't want to rush it. Adding that component does take some time to evaluate those systems, and we want that to be an important part of the process, as evidenced by all the people here who are very concerned about it.
In the administration's mind, what's the timeline to address this?
So in order for the contracts that we currently have expire June 30th. If it continues, while of course we have to finish the negotiation period as part of that evaluation with the waste contract. Once we do that, then we have to prepare contracts to be submitted and approved. And if it's under the current terms and conditions, it comes to City Council for review and approval. Once that happens, then contracts are then executed, and then the waste contract goes into place. So we're looking at the summer to have it in place. If it extends beyond that, because we need more time for a review and evaluation, we will request an extension on our existing contract.
2026, 2027?
Oh, definitely 2026.
Okay.
So it's not it's no 2027.
Okay.
We're talking months. We're not talking years.
That's good to know. Yeah.
And maybe even weeks. So, that's part of the process and what we expect it to.
I mean, it would be great to pull the plug today, but is it the responsible, but are we able to do that?
I understand the
Yeah.
spirit behind getting this done
Yeah.
quickly, but we should not rush this. This is a very important contract for not only Chester, but the citizens of Philadelphia. So
Yeah.
we just respectfully, council member, ask for the time to do our jobs correctly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to make sure that we get it right, and we get it right the first time, because I've seen in this body, when we don't get things right, we have to come back, we have to make other adjustments. It's a mess. So it's better to take your time and do it right, as long as your time, it happens in 2026.
Absolutely, that is
and
our goal.
I just have one other quick question.
Very quickly, Councilmember Bass, thank you.
Can I ask one quick
Oh,
question?
yes.
Well, I'm sorry. Can you explain the difference between lotscapes that you said you were doing and PHS's lots? When they come in and they redo a lot and they make it a neighborhood space. Is that the same thing, or is
No,
it
this is
something
an
different?
enhanced version of what PHS does.
Oh, stop now. Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
so we clean lots, make sure they're green,
Okay.
make sure trees are planted, and make sure any dead grass or
Right.
dumping or trash removed. That's maintenance. So that's what PHA's land care program does.
Well, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when they come in and they do sort of like a whole community space. They put in benches, they mulch it, they really sort of like,
Right, so that's similar, but again, we want to enhance that by giving them more amenities to the
Okay.
program through Lots.
I'm excited about that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Look
Thank
forward to
you.
getting more information and a list of if any of those spaces are in the 8th district. Thank you.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilmember Baz. Councilmember Jones will be our last council member for round 1. Then we will proceed to round 2. I'll only be able to recognize maybe 2 to 3 members before we break, okay? So we have a hard stop at 12:30. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to add to the chorus of compliments, but I want to give real, tangible stories. You are my number 2, Commissioner, not you, but number 2, only because of your choice in amateur football teams that compete with the West Philly football teams. But I just downgraded your grade a little bit. But my number 1 guy is Keith Warren. He rain, sleet, snow, shine. He comes through, and I really appreciate everything that he does. I'm gonna give you 2 stories real quick. So I was newly elected, Madam Chair, and I was in a part of North Philly that I had not really been in and made enough of an impact. You may remember this. We were looking at lots that would take me on a neighborhood tour. So this is for the newer members of this body. So I'm walking through and they're pointing at this lot, looking at this refrigerator, short dumping tires. And I said, well, let me make a call to see if I can't get this taken care of. Now, we had already worked it out that there were trash trucks in the area doing other sundry things. But when I called, 10 minutes later, they pull up, right? They got their shovels, hut, and they're taking the trash out. The people in the neighborhood looked at me like, amazing. And so now, to your credit, I've gone past those lots most recently, and they're still well maintained. So I am very grateful and thankful to you. The second story, real quick, is Marion Avenue, which you are aware of, Madam Chair, is a notorious dump spot in, is that the 52nd Ward still, or is that the, Marion Avenue? That might be the border. And so we're down there, and every week we're going through this tire dumping. There have been more dangerous things found down there. But this one time, there must have been 50 tires out on Marion Avenue. And when he went to confront the individual that dumped the tires, they kind of brushed him off and said, so what? Sue me if you want to recover some money. And what he amazingly did was calculated and counted every tire. And I think you gave a maximum fine on every tire. When this boy got this bill, he stopped short dumping on Marion Avenue. And that's the kind of hard results that I appreciate from the departments. And I will say to you that until we increase the fines to make it cost prohibitive to do the dumping, we're hustling backwards. And so we need to, as a body or working with our partners in the state, increase the fines for these short dumpers. But until we do that, go ahead, it's all right. I like little claps. I don't do it for that, but I like it. So my only question is, how are you integrating, you talked about lot cleaning and beautifications and 2.0ing this. How are you integrating with the consortium and some of the state money for trails and parks that I know about? Are you collaborating so that, like on 49th and Parkside, we want to do a thing called edible landscapes and be able to organically pick things from the garden and work it into your diet? Is there a collaboration on that kind of level?
So I'm glad you asked that question. Thank you for your comments, council member, as well. And I don't take offense that I'm number 2, but that's all right.
Number 2.
My football team is still better. But to answer your question, we're looking at establishing a conservation district here in Philadelphia. We are the only municipality or county in the state of Pennsylvania that does not have one. And what that does is it makes those connections and resources to the state to ensure that there's synergy to what their goals are from an environmental aspect, from a green space landscape, that we can transform these things. So I think we're making progress. I'm working with very own Jerome Shabazz on that project. And we're looking forward to bringing more resources in the city of Philadelphia so we can promote those type of programs and also coordinate our efforts with the state to be able to do that. And those conversations have really picked up over the last couple of weeks. So we're excited that that is something that we're looking forward to doing here in the city to understand what potential opportunities exist to be able to transform vacant industrialized land into something that's very productive, like Mr. Shabazz did out at the Overbrook Environmental Education Center.
So, Chairman, just so you have geographic reference, there is the underpath that leads on Parkside to Winfield. You make that left and you're in Winfield. And imagine being able to find a way for walkers, hikers, joggers to start there, go all the way around Parkside Avenue on a trail into the Container Village, for example, where there should be, by then, a fish aquaponic garden with tilapia and stuff like that. And you can walk through the garden and cut your own vegetables that are organically sourced, and then be able to walk back across the street to Parkside, go around the two lakes that are there, and an arboretum where you can see the difference between oaks and pines and cypress and things like that, and then walk all the way down to the Delaware River. Those are the kinds of visionary. Everybody's not going to see the Sixers, but some people want to commune with nature, and we want to give them every opportunity to take advantage of the zoo, take advantage of the bird observatories, and all kinds of things in between. So carry on, young men and women, to do that. Thank you,
sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilmember Jones. We are now officially entering round 2 prior to break. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Gaudier.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you, Councilmember Bass, for your line of questioning. I think I'm hearing some of your answers, Director Williams, for the first time. I just wanted to get very quickly on record. The last time this contract came up, I know council got it, and there was only a few weeks before we had to make a decision. Can you commit to the body that when you do make this decision, there will be adequate time for council to consider such an important contract?
Yes, council member, and that's the reason why we requested an extension, because while we may submit the data to you, we know you need time to review and make a conscious decision, and we know this is not an easy one, so absolutely we want to commit to giving you the time necessary for you to implement.
Thank you. It's also the first time I'm hearing you requested an extension. How long of an extension have you requested?
Well, right now, if it goes past the June 30th deadline, we've asked for an extension for, what is it, a year, Commissioner? I believe it was a year if it requires, but we'll verify that with law department because that's where we requested it.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to echo that this is important and not something that we can kind of kick the can down the road on. Majority Leader Gilmore Richardson, in fact, did a hearing on this same topic in 2020. There's been plenty of time for us to consider. The time is fast approaching for us to make a decision that is the right decision for both Philadelphia and Chester. I know time is coming up. I wanted to end, like my colleague Nicholas O'Rourke, with the voice of one of our young people from Chester, because I think young people have a way of seeing straight through an issue and a level of moral clarity that sometimes can get lost. The letter says, "My name is Desira, and I am a 7th grader at Toby Farm Middle School. Things I like to do with my friends when we are outside is go to the park and play games there and do TikToks and other fun things outside. The negative pollution in my neighborhood stinks, and it makes everything dirty and makes people's eyes burn. The air smells horrible, and it makes people have asthma and other health conditions. I demand you to keep your trash out of my lungs and keep your trash out of Chester. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Desira. And I've gotten probably a couple hundred letters from young people in Chester and throughout Philadelphia that I would like to deliver to you. I haven't had the opportunity to make my way through all of them. Most of them are addressed to Mayor Parker. I hope you take the time to read them because, again, it is very important. I would say ultimately important for us in this chamber to uplift the voices of our young people because that's who we're ultimately making decisions for. Thank you so much, Madam Chair.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you so much, Councilmember Gaudier. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Harity.
Thank you, Councilwoman Richardson. Hello again. As the chair of Labor and Civil Service, I just have to get some questions on the books about the same-day pay workers we use for the cleanup and some of the miscommunications, let's say, that happened between District Council 33 and the administration as to the use of those employees. The winter storm season's over, but we're going to end up in hurricane season soon. And to be honest, we haven't had a rough hurricane season in a while either. So have we made any attempts to try to talk to District Council 33 so that if we have to do that at some point again for another emergency or something like that, that there's an agreement in place? And also, is there a mechanism for those same-day pay workers, since we are short in certain areas, right, to become civil service? Are we making, like, people who are working those same-day pay jobs, I mean, if they're coming and you know, for a number of days and they seem to be a good employee, it would make sense to try to fill some of those positions we have. I know there's civil service, but we could make exceptions at some point to help them in that process, whether it's tutoring or something like that. Are we thinking along those lines? And like I said, are we in contact with the unions that are involved so that we don't have the disruptions that we had last time and the miscommunications? Because, you know, our city employees, you know, we all praise you and your guys in sanitation and all. They do hard work and they do good work and work that nobody really wants to do. So, you know, I get it, and I get the theory in the same-day workers, but I also want to make sure that our union members are protected and their jobs are protected. And also, if there's a path for some of these same-day workers to become members of District Council 33.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
the others.
And thank you. And I apologize for the brief interruption. I'm going to respectfully request that you respond to Councilmember Harity, Director Williams, in an expeditious manner, and then thereafter, we have 4 additional members that will receive 2 minutes each so that we are able to break on time. Thank you so much for the accommodation.
Absolutely. Really quickly, Council Member, yeah, we've had extensive conversations, especially after that first major storm, to definitely have an open relationship and dialogue with DC 33. My good friend Anton Little was here, and he was a part of that process as well, and we made good on that during that second storm by opening up opportunities for our city employees. As far as the same-day working pay, they would have to go through the same process as any other individual. Future Track is a great way to try to apply for, getting through the program, and I think that's what makes us all comfortable when we can move forward with that program.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilmember Harity. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Brooks.
Thank you so much. I am going to start off with a letter, and then I'm going to put my 3 questions on the books. So my letter that I have says, Dear Mayor Parker, I believe we need to stop burning trash in Chester. Many people have asthma and cancer. The kids should be able to go to school, and they need to breathe. The ash is very toxic, and the people are getting sick. It's also hurting nature and animals. Instead, we can create green jobs that help our earth. That's why I think we need to stop burning trash. Sincerely, Nate. My questions are, how is Clean and Green prioritizing equitable neighborhood efforts with some of the more high-profile work around the 250th anniversary? One of the criticisms that I've heard about the Office of Clean and Green initiatives is that there isn't a lot of focus on the green portion of the office. And to that point, I want to understand how this office works with the Department of Sustainability. I understand that installing LED lights and some of the other initiatives work towards making us a more efficient city, but what else specifically are you working on that will lower the carbon rates to hit our 2050 goals? And has there been any discussion about incorporating more of the Office of Sustainability work within the Office of Clean and Green initiatives?
Yeah, thank you, and I'll be very brief per our Madam Chair's request, but I will say we have a 10-point greening plan. Deputy Director Casey Clucklick can share that with you at a later time for the record. We will submit that for the record, council members, since we don't have time to really go into detail what that plan requires, but it does talk about tree canopies, neighborhood greening improvement programs, vacant lots, and also streetscapes. That is part of actually the 250th celebration, where we have 20 commercial corridors that we're greening in the neighborhoods, not down in just Center City, so that they can benefit as well. But that's just a snapshot of some of the things that's in that plan for long-term greening, and we appreciate it as well. We'll get that information for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Brooks. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Young.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to talk about the illegal dumping again. I know it's something that is still prevalent in our council district. So can you tell us like how many dumping cameras are currently deployed and how many are planned in its FY27 budget? What would they cost? And like what's the measurable results again to having existing cameras already produced?
I certainly, if we don't have the exact number, we can get that for you. We will forward that to you for the record, given the time that we have. But I can tell you that the cost is about $6,000 per camera. It's used the same cameras that our police department utilizes for major crimes and the DIVIC. We're connected into that system so that we can expand not only the ones we buy, but to also cross-reference the ones that police use, because a lot of the times the dumping occurs in those high crime areas. So we utilize those things as well. I'll let Commissioner Shipman talk about the cameras that she has. She's found the number. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Young. We do have 400 surveillance cameras that are specific for illegal dumping, but we utilize the full network of cameras that are available to us that are through the police department and other departments and other entity agencies altogether. We do anticipate for this fiscal year an additional 100 cameras to be purchased.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilmember Young. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Landau.
Thank you. One statement and two questions, and I wish I could do this all day, but I know the chair is going to cut me off. The statement is that the Stop Trashing Our Air Act is a very serious initiative to protect the health of folks in Chester as well in Philadelphia. As somebody who has asthma, I gotta tell you, it is essential that we are continually working towards cleaning our air for everybody in Philadelphia. And I would just ask that you come to the table a little more directly. Somewhere in your testimony, Commissioner Williams, you said we could maybe ask for an extension of our contract. You then said we've asked for an extension of our contract. If you asked for a one-year extension of contract, you could have started right there. It could have happened even before today, where we could have had a conversation where we're really getting to the same point. I believe we all want the same result, but we have to be honest brokers with each other. That's just a statement. I don't think we need to talk about it. The second thing I want to talk about, thank you, clap, clap, clap. The second thing I want to talk about is data. In your written testimony, or the statement you put in, you talked about working with OIT to modernize or replace outdated systems In the sanitation operations centers, I'm the chair of the tech committee, and I wanted to know what new systems you're looking at to put in place to update our systems. And the last thing I want to know is, why is the Office of Sustainability not here this year? There is so much that we have to do with the urgency of the climate crisis, of making sure that we're safe and clean and green in Philadelphia, and I wanted to know why sustainability isn't here, and will they come?
I'm sure that they will be here, whether it be with the Office of Transportation and Infrastructure and Sustainability. That's where they fall under.
Thank you.
Not to say that we don't work very closely with them with some of the initiatives. And we do, I appreciate your comments in reference to being open and transparent. That's what we've always strived to do, and I'm certainly going to continue to do that with this process. As far as the data driven and IT, we can have a conversation about that also, but we're trying to fix outdated systems in terms of how we track information and data, especially through 311. That's important for us, and to do real-time informational gathering. We're looking at things like AI for our cameras so that we can catch people in the act and not after the fact and have to go back, but that's just an example of the things that we're doing.
So I don't know if there's anything else to add, but you'll commit to a conversation with the technology committee for us to get more updated on what your systems are?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Councilmember Landau. And for the record, we have the Office of Sustainability under our non-testifying departments this year. If you could just make a request of Council President Johnson for that to be modified, okay? That request must go to the president. Thank you very much. The chair now recognizes Councilmember Bass.
Thank you very much. I just have one quick question. Can you talk to us really quickly about, why can't I put a trash can out in front of my house without getting a ticket and collect trash? There's not enough trash cans in the city.
So
there's just not enough trash cans.
Thank you, Council Member. I'm going to let Commissioner Shibner talk about her new initiative about trash cans as well.
Right.
I will say in general, some people want them out in front of the block, some people don't. But we have a program called Fill a Can that the commissioner can address. But in general, some of the residents don't want other people to have trash cans out because it creates litter conditions and they don't maintain them.
Yeah, if you're not responsible with it, taking care of it,
Yes.
maintaining
But
it.
if there's a collective majority on that block that says this is what we want, I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Shipman. She can explain how we can get that done.
So I will say that we do still offer the community can program. If folks want to have a community can on their block, they have a block captain, we can partner with them to allow that. As far as Fill a Can 2.0 is what we're referring to, this next pilot that we'll be rolling out will allow for larger cans for both recycling and trash.
Right.
And we will give, the ability for folks who don't have the ability to store the trash in the back of the home. If your block is selected, you would be able to store that can outside. Other folks would be able to utilize it if that's the appropriate use for that particular can. But
I'm sorry, not to cut you off. What about big bellies?
And we are still rolling out additional big bellies on our commercial corridors, primarily in some instances adjacent streets, but it's primarily to serve in those highly trafficked areas.
How many new big bellies are we rolling out this year, would you say?
I mentioned it in my testimony. I do apologize. I don't recall the number offhand, but in total, we're looking at having a network of 1,500 in total once we've completed this.
Do you remember how many we have now?
Right now on the street, hold on, I'll find my testimony, I could tell you.
The chair recognizes Councilmember Young with a point of information.
1,200, Councilwoman, on the street now.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just really quickly on the trash cans, I've noticed other municipalities have municipal trash cans, right? We have our municipal recycling cans, but are we able to do municipal trash cans like other places have, so we can, collect our trash in a more, I'll say, a better enforced way, essentially?
So the pilot that will be rolling out through Fill a Can 2.0 will provide the tall 64, or are they 96s or 64? 64 gallon trash cans, and then a matching recycling bin. So it will be both trash and recycling that we're piloting for.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Thank you, Councilmember Bass.
Thank you, Councilmember Young. The chair now again recognizes Councilmember Bass.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm done with my questions. I was looking to see if I had anything else, but I'm done. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Councilmember Bass. Seeing no additional council members in the queue for the Office of Clean and Green and Sanitation, we'd like to thank Director Williams, our Sanitation Commissioner, Crystal Jacobs, Casey Klucklick, Deputy Director for Clean and Green, Mary Stitt, Deputy Director for Clean and Green, Keith Warren, Deputy Commissioner for Sanitation, and Christopher Newman, Deputy Commissioner for Administration, for your testimony today, and all the council members for your questions. At this time, we will take a break until 1:30. Thank you very much.
Thank you, council members. Thank you, Madam Chair.